Where are our girls? Tonight we focus on the young women sentenced to prison here in Nevada.
Yeah, they are sent here. Our state doesn't have a place to keep girls under the age of 18 who have been charged with adult crimes. So the question tonight, where do they go? That's the subject of today's Vegas Lost, and John Trainer is in the studio with the answer.
Well, when we started asking the question, we didn't expect the answer we got, which involved conversations about housing one girl in a mobile home.
Where'd you step? I don't know. I was hiding behind the bathroom door. I pop up behind the victim and start stabbing her.
That is the voice of a 14-year-old, a Clark County high schooler who waited an hour in a dark bathroom wearing a mask holding a kitchen knife. She didn't know the teenager she stabbed several times. The victim survived. The teen, whose identity we are not legally allowed to share, was found guilty of battery with a deadly weapon and will now head to an adult prison.
Well, the reason why I haven't cried before is because I've been holding very, very strong for me and my daughter.
Kimberly Campos and her daughter will wait. They don't know how long she'll be sentenced. They don't know where she'll serve her time. In Nevada, kids charged as adults live in a gray area. They can't legally be housed with adults. The state does not house them with juveniles. We wanted to know where that left them. So we asked the man in charge, Director of the Nevada Department of Corrections, James Dzurenda. An important note, we talked to the director before Kimberly's daughter's case began. What do we do with female juveniles?
Don't know. We haven't had one since I've been here.
That's not entirely true. There is one girl in custody right now. She was arrested on the Strip in 2015. And what we discovered about the debate over sentencing for her was shocking. Her name is Ashley Arsenum. She was a teenager when she took a plea deal for her connection in a series of robberies. She was sentenced to 3 to 9 years in prison. When Ashley was going to be sentenced, there was a problem. See, at the time, she was the only juvenile female headed to prison. Because the state won't house her with other juveniles and can't house her with adults, they didn't have many options. And attorneys we talked to said they started hearing about a disturbing one. The plan was this. The Department of Corrections would put a trailer on the property of Florence McClure here in Las Vegas and keep Ashley there by herself until she was old enough for general population.
We would have a very difficult time for one person. Where do you house one person? How do you keep one person separate? How do you post an officer with one person? We had this issue when I was in Connecticut, and we had to actually get a modular mobile home on a crane and drop it right in the middle of the facility. That became a housing unit.
Are there conversations in the state about where we can house adjudicated females?
As of right now, no.
We've heard from a couple attorneys that those conversations may have happened here, that there may have been a conversation about temporary housing, similar to what you just described.
Well, I had to think of it if I didn't get it approved to send a juvenile out of state.
Dzurenda insists the idea was never really considered. Attorneys with the ACLU says they heard about it and were concerned.
Very concerning, and I think equally concerning to the Department of Corrections, and they've sensed that's absolutely not an option for them at this point, and we've definitely advocated against it. So now really they're looking at out-of-state transfer if a young woman comes into their jurisdiction, which is problematic also.
But that is what's happening. Women are being shipped out of the state because Nevada can't house them. We wanted to know exactly how many young women were facing adult charges, but the district attorney's office couldn't give us those numbers. There's no computer system that tracks them. The best they could do, one employee there keeps a hand count. He writes the numbers down. This is their best guess. 9 girls are facing certification cases, 4 are direct files, making a total of 13 teenagers possibly heading to prison. That number will test a system that was already overloaded at 1. But for a mom who hopes her daughter gets the treatment and therapy she says she so desperately needs, it's a devastating option. Simply put, Kimberly Campos will likely watch her daughter be shipped away to somewhere in Arizona and hope she can find the time and the money to visit.
I think about, when can I see her? How far is this? How long of a drive? How often can I see her? When can I speak to her? I don't think it's right.
They say it's critical time for young teenagers and their parents when they are locked up behind bars. Other states have a solution we'll talk about in later editions of Vegas Lost. John Trainer, News 3. Guys.
All right, John, thank you for that. That was an eye-opener for sure, as many of these stories have. And John's taking a comprehensive look at this issue, always looking for new ideas. If you have one and you want to comment on the ones that you've seen, you can shoot him an email. The address for that, vegaslost@news3lv.com. And in just a few minutes, John will be over at his computer at his desk. He'll be taking your questions and comments live on our Facebook page.
All right, News 3.